If you dislike the West, and if you hate the West's values, if you think the West is evil fundamentally and deserves to be destroyed, then anything Donald Trump does basically short of surrender will be too far for you. If I was visiting this school 100 years ago, speaking in support of an American president, I think we would at least have some broad agreement on what a country's leader should be trying to do. But we don't anymore. I don't think it's because America's changed. In fact, I think it's because Britain has changed. From my perspective, Britain is one of the greatest countries in the history of the world. You are the country of Shakespeare, the steam engine, and Adam Smith. You defeated Napoleon, you destroyed the slave trade, you stood up to Hitler. My country, America, became great as it is because of what we inherited from you, from Britain. When I hear the slogan, "Make America Great Again," I'm also hearing, quote, "Return America to its British roots." Great Britain has everything in the world to be proud of. But when I look at Britain today, I see a country where the ruling elites are in a race to abandon the very values, the values that made them so great in the first place. I wish I could blame this all on labor, all on the left, but I can't. This country just had its 14th uninterrupted year of so-called conservative rule. And what did they conserve exactly? Well, they didn't conserve the ancient British rights to freedom of speech. In Britain today, 30 people a day are arrested for offensive posts on social media, according to The Telegraph. Praying silently within 600 feet of an abortion clinic can get you arrested in Scotland, as a 74-year-old woman named Rose just learned weeks ago. Members of Parliament scold British citizens for thinking they have the right to say that they do not have the right to say things that offend Muslims. 14 years of conservative rule didn't conserve British prosperity. Adjusted for inflation cost of living, the average British worker makes less today than they did in 2008. Outside of London, the British have lower incomes than every one of America's 50 states, and it never used to be this way. British industry pays 4 times as much for electricity as America does. You have the highest electricity rates in the world, a consequence of a choice of going net neutral. Nothing will kill a modern economy faster than high energy prices. And the country that invented the steam engine now has some of the highest energy prices on the planet. But above all, 14 years of conservative control didn't preserve the British nation. This country's conservatives thought it was their moral duty to allow anyone from the third world to move here. They didn't need to hold Western values. They didn't need to have useful skills. They could go on welfare immediately. Just last week, Keir Starmer announced he's changing the law to make sure immigrants who commit crimes are deported, because the conservatives never actually bothered passing that law themselves. The dying out of the British nation means the dying out of Christianity. Britain is the birthplace of Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterians, Anglicans, Quakers, and more. I would guess that more Christian denominations trace back to Britain than any other country. But soon, Britain will have more practicing Muslims than practicing Christians. I think that will be a catastrophic change, and everyone knows it. That's why it's only Muslims moving to Christian countries, never the other way around. I don't want America to go the way of Britain. I want us to remain free. I want us to remain rich and innovative. I want us to remain Christian. I don't want Americans to be replaced. But forget what I want. This is what the American people want. And in a democracy, the people are supposed to get what they want. The very same people that lecture us about democracy have a lot of problems with the consequences.
Conservative commentator Charlie Kirk delivered a provocative address at the University of Oxford, warning that the decline of Christianity in Britain could trigger a significant demographic and cultural shift in favour of Islam. "The dying of Britain is the dying of Christianity," Kirk told the audience, asserting that the country may soon see more practicing Muslims than Christians. Framed as a stark commentary on the erosion of Britain's historic faith, Kirk's speech highlighted what he views as the societal consequences of this trend. His appearance drew both attention and controversy. Supporters praised his willingness to confront issues of religion and national identity, while critics accused him of inflaming cultural divisions. Kirk, who has built his career on combative political commentary in the United States, represents a broader transatlantic trend of right-wing figures entering the UK's culture war debates. Census data shows a long-term decline in self-identified Christians, a gradual increase in Muslims, and a rising proportion of the population declaring no religion. While some experts caution against alarmist interpretations, Kirk's remarks tap into genuine public concerns over immigration, integration, and the preservation of national heritage. The response to his speech underscores the polarized nature of Britain's discourse on faith and identity. For supporters, he voices uncomfortable truths ignored by political leaders. For detractors, he imports an Americanized style of culture war rhetoric into an already tense conversation. Whether Kirk's warning resonates beyond the lecture hall remains uncertain, but it has ensured that Britain's religious future remains firmly in the public and political spotlight.
I just want to, I know that you might not have had a chance to have sight of this, but it's a story we're going to be covering more at 10 p.m. And the front page of tomorrow's Independent newspaper has landed, and on that they have a revelation that prosecutions for people smuggling and human trafficking appears to have dropped under this Labour government. So in the last year, there it is, abject failure as smuggling arrests fall under Labour, and that is an exclusive that they've got, and it says, on the day that small boat crossings soar to 50,000 and dozens more migrants attempt to reach Britain by sea, we reveal that the government is also failing with the gangs. That is a headline that I think, frankly, just blows up any notion that Sir Keir Starmer has got and Yvette Cooper have got of smashing the gangs, doesn't it? And it's in a left-wing newspaper.
Yes, and I'm really glad that the Independent have actually done this, because I've been saying for years that you will not be able to break the gangs. You know, you can't do it. It's not going to happen. And now the Independent have actually got on board as well. Perhaps people might start to listen. These smuggling gangs that they're catching are either very, very lucky, or they're in the UK. And you can catch them in the UK because that's our jurisdiction. But even if we're there in France, and even if we're working closely with the French, at the end of the day, it's still up to the French. And I think the guy that was running the tourist business, what did he get, 2 years?
Yeah, well, yes. That's the other aspect. That is the other aspect to it, the punishment for these people. So recently on this show, I've covered a bloke who was caught with an inflatable dinghy in the back of a van with petrol and a load of life jackets, travelling it to Gravelland, which is where a load of people take the boats from. He avoided jail. He was given a suspended sentence. So you caught someone red-handed supplying a boat for the purpose of illegal immigration, no punishment really. I think he might have got a small fine and politely asked to leave France. And then you've got now a bloke who's been running fake tourism operations in Calais, guiding people towards the boats. Again, slap on the wrist from the French authorities. Absolutely pathetic, isn't it? And look, like I said, we're going to get stuck more into that big revelation on the front of the Independent tomorrow, which is the arrest for human traffickers is dropped under Labour. I mean, that is devastating. It's also another demonstrable mistruth. So if you're going to be there standing in front of us and going, smash the gang, smash the gang, smash the gangs, you know that there are figures out there that prove that the opposite is true. I mean, it's horrific. But Kevin, look, thank you very much. You're going to have to leave it there, my good man. It's Kevin Saunders, former Chief Immigration Officer in Calais and Dunkirk.